In this video, we're going to be looking at the pros and cons of living in Cottonwood Heights, Utah. Cottonwood Heights, this is actually where I grew up, so I might be a little bit biased about it. I do think it was a great place to grow up, and it's still a great place to live. I didn't move very far, I'm just about 5 minutes away, but nowhere can be everything to everyone, right? By the way, I'm Christopher McGee. I am the owner of Halcyon Real Estate. We are affiliated with the Keller Williams Utah Market Center here in Salt Lake City, and I help people relocate from all over the states to right here in the Salt Lake Valley. I am a realtor, and if this is a move that you're thinking of making anytime soon, there's a link in the description to get in touch with me. Let's have a conversation. Now let's jump right into looking at the cons of living in Cottonwood Heights, Utah. Number one, the high cost of living. Now, this is gonna be a factor all along the East Bench in the Salt Lake Valley of the Wasatch Mountains, okay? Doesn't matter where on the East Bench you are. If we go from the north down, we start at Mill Creek, and then we hit Holiday, and then we hit Cottonwood Heights, and then we hit Sandy, and then we hit Draper. It's gonna be higher cost of living all along that East Bench. By the way, it's not like the rest of the Salt Lake Valley is trash. It's just that that East Bench is where most of the settlements originated when the valley was settled, because that's where the freshwater streams were coming out of. So that's where everybody wanted to be, and that just held in place. So what does the higher cost of living look like right now in Cottonwood Heights? Well, let's give you a solid idea. So right now in Cottonwood Heights, and this is the 30th of March, 2026, there are about 60 homes for sale in Cottonwood Heights. And we have a range of prices among those homes for sale that go from $230K for a 1-bedroom, 540 square foot condo, all the way to $6.5 million for a true entertainer's delight, complete with a pool that's just made for parties with a crazy view, and the pen of luxury written on every wall. That one is listed by Belladonna Risso and Sarah Seo. Now, if we looked at the average between those two extremes, one might think that it's necessary to pay upwards of $3 million to own a home in Cottonwood Heights. Gratefully, that is not the case. That would be the wrong impression to walk away with this from. And it's always important, I always say, to understand the difference between average price and median price. Median list price of a home, not list price actually, but median sold price of a home in Cottonwood Heights, Utah right now is at $600,000 flat. So that's still up relative to the national median of about 400, a little over 400K, or the median even in the Salt Lake County, which is 565K right now this week. A little over those medians, but it's not upwards of 3 million, and that's good to know. We've got proximity to the Wasatch Fault line, and this is gonna be another one that's common for any homes or any cities that are built along this eastern bench on the Wasatch Mountains. In fact, the Wasatch Fault line starts in Idaho to the north of us and goes all the way to past Provo, past Price, and into the area just below Price, just south of Price. Price, by the way, is kind of the middle of nowhere, central Utah. So to give you an idea of how long that fault is, it just happens to run right along the Wasatch Mountains on the eastern bench side of the Salt Lake Valley. And so that is a con, and everybody deciding to live on the East Bench just has to decide whether that's something they want to stomach. Like I've said in other videos, this is not a heavily active fault line. They say that historically there's been a roughly 6 to 7.0 earthquake on the Wasatch Fault and any given area along the Wasatch Fault every 500 years, and they say that we're a little overdue for what should be a similarly sized earthquake here. So that's something that we all just deal with and stomach, decide it's worth living here anyway. Winter inversion, this is another one that's just gonna be common to any place that you might live in the Salt Lake Valley. If you Google it, it'll say that during the months between like November to March, but really it's more like the months between December to February. That's when it's really cold here, really, really cold. And that's when it's common for us to get the cold air trapped in the valley with warm air over it. So the cold air can't get out. And because we live in this bowl with the Wasatch Mountain Range on the east side and the Oquirrh Mountain Range on the west side, and there's not a lot of movement of air through there. There's not a significant wind current that goes through the valley. And so it can get trapped, and we end up waiting for a good heavy snowstorm to really clean the air. And so that can happen. I will say it's the end of March this year, and right now I'm looking out the window and there is zero inversion, and March has looked pretty great this year overall, frankly. So it is a thing that happens. It can get pretty icky out there, but it's not all the time and it's not year round. There is not much diversity in the city of Cottonwood Heights. Now, you probably weren't moving to Utah looking for it, but I will confirm it for you here and now. There's not a lot of diversity here. There are about 33,000 people living in Cottonwood Heights, and there's upwards of 85% of them that are white. We've got some Asian friends, we've got some Latino friends, we've even got a little bit of Pacific Islander and some African American friends living here, but it's not a lot. So honestly, if you are of any of those ethnic backgrounds and you're thinking of moving here, please move in. We love you. We love your food. We love your culture. You're gonna be perfectly welcome in Cottonwood Heights. But like I said, not a lot of diversity. So if you were looking for that, you're not gonna find it in Cottonwood Heights. I don't think that's a surprise. Well, let's look at some of the pros of living in Cottonwood Heights, Utah. So first one I'm gonna mention is very safe neighborhoods. Cottonwood Heights has an A grade rating. If you just Google it and see what they have to say about the crime stats here in Cottonwood Heights, it's very good. What crime there is tends to be petty property crime. There's very, very little violent crime. That property crime, like the time I was a stupid idiot teenager hanging out the passenger side of my friend's car as I threw a pumpkin at a stop sign, right? Loud as dynamite, by the way. But mostly dumb stuff like that. Dumb things that kids are looking to do for fun if you live in Cottonwood Heights, and not a lot of it. Cottonwood Heights has among the lowest property taxes in the Salt Lake Valley at 0.56% of total value of the home, as compared to the 1.02% that's a national average. And that 0.56% translates to, if we take the median value of a home in Cottonwood Heights that we looked at earlier to be $600,000 flat, if you apply the property tax rate to that, that gives you about $3,100, $3,200 a year, just so you know. And again, as I've said in other videos, if the property values are high, that's a big green flag for the idea that there's a lot of people who want to be there, and that brings the property values up, right? If the houses are more expensive, it's one way of deciphering that it is a desirable area to live. Another obvious pro, the nickname for Cottonwood Heights is City Between the Canyons. You are right in between ready entrance to Big Cottonwood Canyon and Little Cottonwood Canyon to the south. That means you've got ready access, as I've said in other videos, out of the inversion during the winter, ready access to the canyons where all the skiing is, ready access to the canyons where a lot of popular hikes are. My favorite hike is Bell's Canyon, which is just the other side of Little Cottonwood Canyon. The parking is in the Little Cottonwood Canyon, then you go up and over a ridge, you go up a different canyon, Bell's Canyon. But the outdoor lifestyle is one of the main reasons people like living here. And with that ready access to those canyons, that's a win. You have great schools in Cottonwood Heights. The entire city is within the Canyon School District, and Canyon School District broke off from the much larger, the state's largest school district, Jordan School District, and I want to say 2009. And it broke off, and Canyon School District has ever since been known for higher pay for its teachers and higher quality teachers. I think the only high school in Cottonwood Heights is Brighton High School. If there's another one, it's not coming to mind, but it is a small city, 33,000 people, like I said. And so off the top of my head, Brighton High School, excellent rated school, and it's the only high school. You got Butler Middle School and elementary school and other schools. I went to Butler Middle. My brother went to Brighton High School. Great schools in the area. So if you've got kids, doesn't matter what age they are, you're gonna find great schools for them there in Cottonwood Heights. The city is very small, and I'm gonna list that as a pro to living in Cottonwood Heights because it's very close to many other places that are going to have all the amenities you want. Cottonwood Heights is not podunk, it's right central east of the valley. And so we're bordered in Cottonwood Heights by, let me think, Holiday, Murray, Midvale, and Sandy. And you're not gonna have a hard time finding things to do if you live in Cottonwood Heights. You got the canyons, right? But you're also gonna have quick access to plenty of great restaurants, movie theaters, shopping, malls. So if it isn't in the actual city limits, you're still probably just 10 minutes away from restaurants, from theaters, from golf courses, malls, parks, whatever you need. You're 20 minutes away from downtown, the airport, skiing, hiking. Like I said, this is where I grew up. We were always very close to wherever we wanted to go. So what do you think? Do the pros outweigh the cons for the idea of living here in Cottonwood Heights? Let me know in the comments. I look forward to hearing from you. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, bye-bye.